All right, welcome to lesson 2.5, getting through unit 2. This lesson is going to be on natural disruptions to ecosystems, and our learning goal is that you'll be able to understand how natural disruptions impact ecosystems. So by the end of this lesson, you should be able to describe the consequences that can come from a natural disruption versus a human-caused disruption, identify the different time frames that disturbances can occur, or at least how we describe those time frames, describe the cause of natural climate change, some of the causes of natural climate change, and then explain how environmental change can lead to habitat disruption, and describe the relationship between migration and natural disruptions. We're hitting these more surface level today, and then we'll have discussions that go a little bit deeper later on. So AP-wise, from the CED, learning objective and essential knowledge. We have one learning objective today, and that is to explain how natural disruptions, both short and long-term, impact ecosystems. This is coming from our enduring understanding that ecosystems have structure and diversity that do change over time. It's not just stagnant and staying the same all the time. So a few essential knowledges: natural disruption to ecosystems have environmental consequences that may, for a given occurrence, be as great as or greater than many human-made disruptions. Earth system processes operate on a range of scale in terms of time. Processes can be periodic, episodic, or random. Earth's climate has changed over geological time for many reasons, not just because of humans. Sea level has varied significantly as a result of those changes in the amount of glacial ice on Earth over geological time, a lot of the time that relating to the climate. Major environmental change or upheaval commonly results in large swaths of habitat changes, and wildlife engages in both short and long-term migration for a variety of reasons, including natural disruptions. All right, let's talk about natural disturbances. So natural disturbances are defined as a natural event that disrupts the structure and/or function of an ecosystem. So examples are tornadoes, hurricanes, asteroids, forest fires, drought. All of those can be natural. Forest fires and droughts can be naturally caused. We can make it more likely, or can cause forest fires, and we can make droughts more likely depending on how we are using or diverting water. But these can all be naturally caused as well. Natural disturbances can be even greater than human disruptions. They can occur on a periodic, episodic, or random time frames. Periodic means it occurs with regular frequency. So dry, wet seasons. There is a time for, depending on the biome, that it is drier. There is a time that they're more likely to get rain. That's periodic. It's expected. It's pretty normal. Episodic, think about like episodes. So these are occasional events with irregular frequency. So like there are areas that get hurricanes regularly. There are areas that get droughts pretty regularly. Like they are expected, but they're not at the same frequency. We can't say every single June this is going to happen, or every 2 years this is going to happen. They happen occasionally, and we kind of can expect where they're going to happen, but we just don't know when. And then random, we have no idea when they're going to happen. There's no telltale signs or anything, and that's volcanoes, earthquakes, and asteroids. So Earth's climate has varied over geological time for numerous reasons. So we're looking at climate change naturally, not what we are going through now, which is human-caused climate change. So what can cause this natural climate change? One thing is slight changes in Earth's orbit and tilt that can cause mini ice ages and warmer periods as the Earth shifts slightly closer to and further from the sun. So this is the sun, here's the Earth. We don't travel around the sun in a perfect circle. It's kind of like an egg-shaped orbit. And as we go along, we also, the Earth is also tilted. And I'll post another video on Canvas that kind of shows this graphic really well. But that spin of the Earth and the tilt is what causes our seasons. And then we go around the Earth, or that go around the sun in a year. Depending on how it's tilted, how close we are in that pattern, that is going to change our climate a little bit. And that orbit isn't going to stay that perfect oval shape. It kind of like shifts around. So that's going to change the climate naturally. How far and close we are to the sun has a huge impact. Sea level also has varied over geological time as glacial ice on Earth melts and forms. If it's warmer year, we're going to have less glacial ice. If it's a colder year, we're going to have more glacial ice. And when that ice melts, it has to go somewhere, and it goes into the ocean. So we can see there's kind of a relationship between CO2 levels in ice core. So they drill into the ice, they could see the CO2 levels years ago. That's how we get this. We can see when there's a spike in CO2, which we can relate to higher temperatures because CO2 helps hold that heat close to the Earth, we can see that the sea level rose. So higher CO2, higher sea level, higher CO2, higher sea level, and even to the present time. So because environmental changes the environment, that can lead to habitat disruption. So major environmental disturbances result in widespread habitat changes or loss. So the example we have here is sea level rise. So if this is sea level, we can also look at it as a lake, whatever body of water. So this would be current, and then future, as the sea level rises, it's going to go up. That means that there's going to be some land that was habitable by humans, animals, whatever, that will end up underwater. It means that these underwater ecosystems are going to change because less light can get to them. So those plants that need a lot of light or need to be able to reach the surface aren't going to be able to grow there. The habitat is going to change. That can also happen if a fire goes through a forest, if a drought goes through and there's not enough water for the plants to live. So rising sea levels floods coastal areas and estuary habitats. And then, like I said, fires, tornadoes, any environmental change can cause short or long-term habitat disruption. All right, so migration. Migration happens naturally, sometimes because of habitat disruption or ecosystem or environmental disruptions or whatever it may be. But sometimes it's just because they migrate for weather, climate, it can change. But examples are wildebeest migrating to follow rain patterns of the African savanna. Another is ocean species moving further north as water temperature warms. So this would be, if this is like patterned, this is expected, then they're going to kind of go back and forth through similar areas. For this, if the water temperature is warming, and that's just because climate is warming and it's going to keep warming, then that's not going to be cyclical. They're not coming back down. They're just going to keep going. Bird migration and breeding shifting early in the year as insect hatching shifts early in the year with warming climate. This isn't really cyclical. This is because of that warming climate. Okay, so your practice FRQ for this one, you're going to have to practice your graph reading and also think about what that could mean. So this is the graph that you're reading right here. It should also be on your notes. You're going to describe the relationship between latitude. So that's latitude, lat is flat. So latitude is going up the US, and change in first leaf date depicted in the graph, and explain why you think that relationship exists. So change in first leaf date down here, orange is more than 8 days, blue, more than 8 days earlier, blue is more than 8 days later. So look at the patterns you see here and try to answer those questions. There's room on the back of your notes, and let me know if you have any questions. I will see you in the next one.